Okay, Sam, I think you probably agree with me on this, but I feel like Gen Z is probably one of the more entrepreneurial generations, right? Like there's so much they're achieving, want to be their own boss. And you work with a lot of entrepreneurs to help them get like legal structures and get the advice that they need to get set up. Why do you feel like this is like really important?
It is so important for you to get yourself legally protected because I want you to think of this as like a holistic approach, a very well-rounded approach. That's what I like to tell people. So at the forefront, we want to be thinking about protecting you as a person, like from legal liability. We want to protect you. We want to protect your money. And I especially want you to protect your boundaries.
Talk about the yourself piece. Why do you feel like it's so important for them to focus on protecting themselves?
So basically, you don't want to be responsible for what happens in your business because you can't control it, right? Stuff happens in business. People don't pay you. People sue you. They say something happened. We ultimately, at the end of the day, we just want to make sure that you're not personally responsible for what happens as a result of your business. So the way that I like to visualize this is as if you were trying to build a wall between you and your business so that like what happens in your business has to stay on the other side of that wall and you're like safe and protected on the other side of that wall. That's the way I think of it. So the way that we do that is by registering our businesses. There are these different kinds of things called business entities. All that is a fancy term for different types of business structures. Each one has different limitations, rights, responsibilities, and definitely different pros and cons. The main ones that people tend to choose between to start out are a sole proprietorship and an LLC, which stands for limited liability company. Sole proprietorship is very easy to start. It tends to be a little cheaper, a tiny bit faster in the sense that maybe your state doesn't even require registration. The huge con, though, to a sole proprietorship is that it offers you as a business owner absolutely zero personal liability protection. So remember I said in the beginning, we want to form our businesses as a means to protect ourselves from the actions of our businesses. When you get a sole proprietorship, you get none of that. None of that's included. LLCs were essentially created as an alternative to sole proprietorships where states said, hey, we want to offer like an easy way to form a business, nothing too fancy or complicated. It's not like a corporation, which is a little fancier, a little more complicated. So the big pro to an LLC is that it does offer you some of that separation, some of that insulation from what happens in your business. I would say that the con is that it's a little bit more expensive than a sole proprietorship, but that pro, it really does it for me over the sole prop.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Like I guess an example would be you're running your business. In one case, it's a sole proprietorship. In another case, it's an LLC. I decide that I'm unhappy. I want to sue your business. If your business is a sole proprietorship and I sue you, what does that look like? Versus if your business is an LLC structure and I sue you.
Yeah, great question. So if you have a sole proprietorship and you get sued, you are personally, financially on the hook for that lawsuit. That means it's the same thing. It's no different than if you had just sued me as a person outright, right? So it's no good.
Yeah.
On the flip side, if you have an LLC, and something happens in your business, like somebody's upset you did something in your business and they sue you, the idea is that only your business is financially responsible for what happens as a result of that lawsuit, but they can't come after you, your house, your bank account, your car, any other personal assets that you have.
And that's huge.
Yeah, very.
You're starting your business. You want to be financially savvy and do your business right, the legit way. What are the key financial steps that you have to take to set up your business right?
Yeah, sure. So the EIN number, the employer identification number, it's free. It takes about 5 minutes to fill out. It's like a business's social security number. That's how I like to think of it. And then you can take that EIN number from the IRS. That's what you would use to set up your business bank account at the bank. So it's like going to make it super easy. Besides that, you probably just need a form of ID and usually a tiny bit of cash to just open the account. Yeah. Get yourself a business bank account. So this is a bank account that should be designated as a business bank account. And the government has to be able to go in and see that you have clean transactions, you have business money coming in and out, only business stuff, not mixed with your target run and all that kind of stuff. So it's just a clean, separate account. I then usually have people set it up so that you connect it to like a payment gateway. So still, again, always acting like a business. If we go and get a PayPal account or a Stripe account, you set up a PayPal business account or a Stripe business account, whatever you want to use. And you connect that to your business bank account that you've gone and set up. Yep. The final financial piece that I want you to consider is business insurance. And business insurance is huge because We talked about kind of in step one about how we want to personally insulate you so that you're not personally responsible for what happens in your business, but your business is. But you don't really want your business to be financially responsible for a lawsuit either, because that's going to be really expensive and it could sink a business. Yeah.
Yeah.
So business insurance provides you with a lawyer, a defense lawyer, if something happens. So if you got sued, you have to send that paperwork over to your insurance company. They get you a lawyer. They pay the lawyer's hourly fees, which I can tell you are super high.
Yes.
And then yeah, very high.
So
And then
expensive.
they go and pay that. And then they also would pay for any settlement or judgment that was found against your business, if as long as the thing you got sued for was covered by your insurance. So that is
Yeah.
huge.
What do you mean by business boundaries to protect yourself in business?
Yeah. So one of I think the biggest hidden costs of running an online business or running a business in general is
Yeah.
that time is money, right? And the more time that you are spending, you're going back and forth and emailing with your customer, and that is wasted money. You're just throwing money out the window, let alone the actual refund that you're giving back that the person might not be owed, right? So I think that having clear policies, having clear contracts, at checkout if you're selling products or digital products, and contracts for any services that you're offering, that's going to prevent you from having to go down all these like offshoots of like, oh, should I, shouldn't I? Well, what do I do about this situation? No, it's clear, cut and dry. And it's going to make your life a lot easier if you have legit contracts in place. So you can just say, hey, sorry, here's the policy. This is what you agreed to when you purchased. And that's that.
A lot of times you might need help for your business. Do you feel like this is a good tip? Like you should hire a CPA or you should work with somebody, or what are some other resources or tips for somebody who's thinking about all these steps they have to take and maybe are a little bit overwhelmed?
Yeah, for sure. I totally get why people are overwhelmed. And I also I just want to encourage you that part of why you're overwhelmed is because people don't understand how this works. It's one of those things that we build up to be a lot bigger and harder than it really is. So I truly believe that most people can register their own businesses. You can buy your own domain, get the setup. You can go in and get your business bank account. Like it is really straightforward. I do believe that. And so hopefully we've debunked a little bit of that myth. In a lot of states, we have small business associations, we have women's business associations, we have minority business associations. There are groups for any of you who are in college or have graduated from college. There are sometimes alumni or college groups associated with entrepreneurship that you can go to. And hot tip, you can call whatever your county is. You can Google your county's name, bar association, and call them or email them. They should have some references for you for some small business attorneys who help out with different community oriented projects. So there might be something like that available too.
Got it. You have shared so many tips and so many gems here. What would be your top tips for opening a brand new business?
I would get a EIN number, register your business, get a business bank account, try to get business insurance, and get a contract in place for whatever you're selling.
Sam shared a lot of great tips with us, but also some new words that you might not have heard before. So here are some vocabulary words for today's episode. Liability. This is the risk of being legally or financially responsible for causing damage or harm. LLC. This means limited liability company. It's a business structure that protects the owners from personal liability. Sole proprietorship. This is a business structure that's owned and run by one person who is not protected from personal liability. EIN. This is employer identification number, which is a unique number that identifies your company so that the IRS knows for tax purposes. So it's like a social security number for the business. Commingling. This means that you mix or combine your personal money with your business's money. For our Learn More segment in today's episode, we're going to talk to a young business owner so that way you can see how Sam's advice gets applied in the real world. And also you'll get to hear from somebody who's already walking the walk. I want you to meet Leslie Zuñiga, a 21-year-old entrepreneur from Durham, North Carolina. A few years ago, she opened her own nail studio called The Nail Fairy. Now she's built up a big presence on social media where she shares her nail art and connects with her loyal customers.
I opened my business up in 2021, and the first step was making an LLC. But obviously before that, doing my research and seeing well, how am I going to sort out my money? How am I going to sustain this business? Because it's really, it's a fun idea. It's so exciting to be like, I'm going to be my own boss.
Mhm.
But in reality, it's like, yeah, that comes with like a lot of responsibilities and realizing that like, how am I going to take care of myself, take care of the business? I think that was the first step.
I love that. Okay, so tell us, what are the like top key lessons that you learned from this experience of launching your own business, and especially because you started so young as a like younger teenager?
Definitely, ooh, patience. And that's something I'm still having to learn every day. And I guess that's also part of like the starting off of a business is having to think about, yeah, you're gonna have to invest some money. Like you're gonna have to just not pay yourself for a while.
Oh
Like
yeah.
that. But essentially, it is gonna come back to you, and keeping that in mind that like you're watering a plant that maybe one day will give you some oranges or something. So yeah,
Yeah, definitely. You're not gonna get the oranges the next day after you water your plant, like your seeds. It's a commitment and an investment that takes time.
I know social media can be a really helpful tool. I think in-person networking is really important too. I think that's kind of what also got me inspired to do anything in the first place was meeting these like business owners or other entrepreneurs who were actually doing it.
Definitely. And just to be motivated to do something because you see other people have achieved it. So you know it's possible.
I think that's also one thing for any young business owners is also like be gentle with yourselves because I think there were so many times where I was not gentle with myself and burnt myself out. And even now as an adult, I'm like, what's happening?
Yep. It's all about balance.
It's really easy to get caught up in this like hustle culture idea because that's what it's being sold most of the time. And like, in a way, yes, like you gotta put the time, the effort, like you have to sacrifice. Also, like do something that you feel passionate about because again, that time is so valuable and we are like so valuable just as people that like our energy, like where we put that energy, like really does matter.